Good morning. A catastrophic landslide in Sudan has killed over 1,000 people, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters this year. I'm Remo, and this is the Daily Signal for September 2nd, 2025. Stay tuned for the rest of the stories.
Unfiltered. Now,
Here are the other top stories for September 2nd, 2025. Afghanistan earthquake kills over 800 as rescue operations resume after dangerous delays. China stages massive military parade tomorrow, showcasing hypersonic missiles and hosting 26 world leaders, including Putin and Kim Jong-un. Modi joins Xi and Putin in coordinated diplomatic message targeting Trump and Western influence. Kim Jong-un arrives in Beijing by armored train for rare high-stakes summit with Xi Jinping. China-led bloc creates new development bank to rival World Bank and expand Beijing's global financial reach. Gaza aid flotilla finally departs Barcelona after storm delays, challenging Israeli naval blockade. Leading International Scholars Association formally accuses Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. Russia suspected of jamming GPS signals on plane carrying EU Commission, President von der Leyen. Xi Jinping sidelines Trump by hosting Ukraine war allies in Beijing's biggest diplomatic gathering this year. Now let's dive into each story. Breaking overnight, over 1,000 people are confirmed dead after a catastrophic landslide buried an entire village in western Sudan. Heavy rains triggered this sudden disaster, completely destroying homes and trapping families underneath tons of mud and debris. Here's what happened. The village had no early warning system. Within minutes, the hillside collapsed, creating a debris field spanning several miles. Rescue teams are struggling to reach the remote location due to Sudan's limited infrastructure and ongoing regional conflicts. This makes it one of the deadliest landslides in recent history. The death toll is expected to rise as rescue operations continue. Sudan's humanitarian crisis deepens as the country already faces civil war, economic collapse, and now this natural disaster. Why this matters. This tragedy highlights how climate change and extreme weather events are hitting the world's most vulnerable populations hardest, especially in conflict zones where emergency response is nearly impossible. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, rescue efforts have resumed after a devastating earthquake killed over 800 people. Operations were temporarily halted due to dangerous aftershocks and logistical nightmares in the Taliban-controlled territory. The earthquake struck remote villages where mud brick homes collapsed instantly. Aid agencies are racing against time, but they're facing massive challenges: destroyed roads, limited medical supplies, and the Taliban's restrictions on international humanitarian workers. Here's the critical detail. Many victims remain trapped under rubble, and the 48-hour survival window is rapidly closing. The international community is struggling to coordinate aid delivery while navigating complex political relationships with Afghanistan's Taliban government. This connects to our broader crisis. Afghanistan's humanitarian situation was already dire before this earthquake, with millions facing food insecurity and limited medical care under Taliban rule. Tomorrow, China stages its most massive military parade in years, showcasing weapons that could reshape global power balance. President Xi Jinping is hosting 26 world leaders in Beijing for the 80th anniversary of Japan's World War II surrender. But this isn't just about history. Here's what they're unveiling: hypersonic missiles capable of reaching any target globally within minutes, autonomous tanks that operate without human control, drone ships, and advanced electronic warfare systems. Tens of thousands of troops will march through Tiananmen Square in a display designed to send a message. The guest list tells the real story: Putin, Kim Jong-un, and leaders from Asia, Africa, and Europe, many representing authoritarian regimes. This is Xi's vision of a new world order challenging Western dominance. The key detail: this parade happens just days after increased tensions with Taiwan and the US. China's timing isn't coincidental. They're demonstrating military capabilities while building diplomatic alliances with countries skeptical of American leadership. Indian Prime Minister Modi is making a bold geopolitical bet, joining hands with Xi and Putin in what experts call a coordinated message to Trump and the West. This trilateral cooperation is happening alongside Beijing's Victory Day events. Here's the strategy. Modi is positioning India within a multipolar world order that doesn't revolve around Washington. Joint statements and private meetings are emphasizing shared interests in challenging Western-dominated financial systems and diplomatic frameworks. This detail will surprise you. Despite border tensions with China, Modi is prioritizing economic partnerships and strategic independence over traditional Western alliances. India's calculation is clear: align with rising powers rather than declining ones. Why this matters to you? This shift affects global supply chains, energy markets, and technological cooperation. When the world's most populous democracy sides with authoritarian powers, it signals massive changes in international relations. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un arrived in Beijing by armored train, his preferred method for high-stakes international travel. This rare trip signals deepening ties between China and North Korea amid global isolation campaigns. The train journey itself tells a story. Kim avoids flying for security reasons, and the overland route allows secure communication and demonstrates North Korea's reliance on Chinese infrastructure and goodwill. Here's what they're not telling you. This meeting isn't just ceremonial. Kim and Xi are coordinating responses to increased U.S. military presence in the region and discussing economic cooperation that could circumvent international sanctions. The real story: North Korea's nuclear program continues advancing, and China's support, whether public or private, determines Kim's strategic options and global diplomatic leverage. China just created a new development bank with international partners, directly challenging the World Bank and IMF's dominance in global finance. This isn't just about money, it's about reshaping how the world funds infrastructure and development. Here's the mechanism. Member countries can now access funding for major projects without Western oversight, conditions, or approval. The bank focuses on connectivity projects, sustainable development, and economic cooperation among countries aligned with China's vision. You'll want to remember this number. Initial capitalization could exceed $100 billion, making it a serious competitor to established financial institutions. Countries frustrated with Western-led banking requirements now have alternatives. This means developing nations can pursue infrastructure projects, energy deals, and economic partnerships without Western political conditions. China's financial influence expands globally while reducing dependency on dollar-denominated systems. A Gaza aid flotilla has finally departed Barcelona after storm delays, setting up a potential confrontation with Israeli naval forces. The convoy aims to deliver humanitarian supplies while challenging the naval blockade. The critical context: Israeli authorities have expressed serious security concerns, viewing the flotilla as potential provocation despite organizers' claims of peaceful humanitarian mission. Previous similar attempts have resulted in deadly confrontations. On board are international activists, journalists, and supplies, including medical equipment and food. The flotilla's route will test international maritime law and diplomatic relationships as it approaches Gaza's coastline. Why this escalates tensions? Any incident could trigger broader regional conflicts, while humanitarian conditions in Gaza continue deteriorating amid ongoing warfare. A leading international scholars association has formally accused Israel of committing genocide during its Gaza operations, citing systematic targeting of civilian populations and infrastructure. These aren't random activists. These are respected academic institutions making legal framework accusations. The association points to patterns of deliberate civilian targeting, infrastructure destruction, and what they term collective punishment of Palestinian populations. Their report will be submitted to international legal bodies. Israel's response: vehement rejection, calling the accusations politically motivated and ignoring Hamas's role in civilian casualties. Israeli officials argue they're conducting legitimate self-defense operations against terrorist threats. Here's why this matters. These formal accusations could influence international legal proceedings, diplomatic relationships, and public opinion globally. Academic institutions carry significant credibility in international law discussions. Russia is suspected of deliberately jamming GPS signals on a plane carrying EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, representing a dangerous escalation in electronic warfare tactics. The incident caused significant navigational disruptions during European airspace transit. This detail is crucial. GPS jamming isn't random technical failure. It's deliberate signal interference requiring sophisticated equipment and coordination. Russia's message is clear. European leaders aren't safe from electronic attacks, even in their own airspace. The implications extend beyond one flight. Commercial aviation, shipping, and military operations all depend on GPS systems that Russia can apparently disrupt at will. What this signals: electronic warfare is becoming routine in European conflicts, affecting civilian infrastructure and raising questions about defense capabilities against invisible attacks. President Xi Jinping is using Beijing's Victory Day parade to host countries involved in contentious conflicts, effectively sidelining Trump and Western diplomatic influence. This gathering represents the largest alternative diplomatic summit this year. The power play. By hosting leaders from Russia, North Korea, Iran, and other countries under Western sanctions, Xi positions China as the center of an alternative world order. This isn't just ceremony, it's coalition building against Western policies. Trump and traditional U.S. allies are notably absent, while countries challenging Western interests receive red carpet treatment in Beijing. Xi's message: China offers partnership without political lectures or sanctions threats. The real implication: this diplomatic gathering could formalize alliances that challenge Western dominance in international institutions, trade relationships, and conflict resolution mechanisms. Looking across today's stories, three major themes emerge that will shape your world in the coming months. First, power poles are shifting. China's massive military parade, Modi's alliance with Xi and Putin, and Beijing's new development bank all signal the same trend. The world is moving away from U.S.-centered leadership toward multiple power centers. This affects everything from your smartphone supply chain to energy prices. Second, humanitarian crises are accelerating. Sudan's landslide and Afghanistan's earthquake represent more than tragic accidents. They reveal how climate change and political instability create cascading disasters in regions with limited response capabilities. These crises drive migration patterns, international aid budgets, and regional stability. Third, information warfare is mainstream. Russia jamming GPS signals and scholars formally accusing Israel of genocide show how conflicts now span military, legal, and technological domains simultaneously. Traditional warfare boundaries are disappearing. Here's what connects everything. We're watching the emergence of competing world systems. China offers infrastructure investment and political flexibility. The West emphasizes democratic values and legal frameworks. Countries are choosing sides based on immediate interests rather than ideological alignment. Your takeaway: global supply chains, international travel, food prices, and technology access will all be affected as these parallel systems develop. Understanding these shifts helps you prepare for changes in everything from job markets to investment opportunities. Stay informed, stay prepared, and remember, in a multipolar world, local decisions have global consequences. This has been the Daily Signal. I'm Remo. Share this with someone who needs to understand what's really happening in our changing world.
Unfiltered. Now.